Okay, we're going to try something a little bit difficult here. We're going to have a little go at making a base for your chair. So I'm just going to start off with a rectangle. This time I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go about 6 along each of the isometric lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about right. Come across here. Okay, so I know that basically where my tube that joins the chair is going to go from the middle. So if I draw a line that goes across here and roughly across here, I know that that's going to be the center, and that's where my tube's going to go from. I also know that because this is based upon being round, if I rounded off these edges here and turn this into an ellipse shape, that's got to be where my base goes. Now I've got lots of things I can play around with. An easy way of doing a base would be just to give this a bit of thickness and then possibly have a kind of curvy shape that comes out from the middle. So I could have my tube coming up like this, and I could have a kind of elliptical bottom to the base, a bit like a kind of bar stool. I could even shape these corners here if I wanted to make this a tighter shape. Round these off, play around with them. Okay, that's probably one of the easier ways of doing it. We're going to do it a little bit more difficult than that. I'm going to look at how we make a star shape. So same starting point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I still want to have a kind of elliptical shape, but this time my ellipse is just going to act as a guide for where the star legs are going to go from. So the star legs are going to go from the middle. Now you remember, if we need about 5 stars, that's basically 360 degrees divided by 5. That makes about 72 per leg. So it doesn't really matter where I start. I just want to make sure that I get roughly 72 degrees coming off of each of these kind of shapes. And I'm going to have a guess at that. I think that's probably a bit off. That one's probably a bit better. That one's probably a bit better. So let's get rid of the ones that are wrong, and we'll play around with that. Okay, so there's my center point. My tube is going to be coming up here. This is where it's going to join the seat at some point. Okay, but I've got my legs. So each one of these will represent the bottom. So the bottom of each of these star legs has to come up, and they're going to go roughly to the center of here. Now we're going to see on some of them their kind of thickness, and on others not so much. So this one we would see thickness. This one over here we're going to see the bottom of it, and we'll see some size, but we won't see very much of the top because of the angle we're looking at. It's going to be a very small bit we're going to see. This one is going to be very short because of the angle we're looking at it from, but we are going to see a little bit of the top of it. This one over here we're going to see the side, but again not so much of the top. Okay, all looks a bit messy at the moment, but hopefully when we ink that in a minute it'll make a little bit more sense to you. Okay, now what you're going to decide next is what you're going to do. Either you're going to put some little square feet on it, or you're going to put some wheels on it. So probably a wheel, the way to think of a wheel would be it's going to come through the middle. So somewhere through there you're going to see a kind of wheel shape. Somewhere through here you're going to see a kind of wheel shape. Somewhere through here a wheel shape, and so on. and obviously the ones at the back look slightly smaller than the ones at the top. All of them need to have a bit of thickness, so I'm going to add a bit of thickness to them so they look a bit more realistic. Now if you want to, you can draw them kind of flat on, they don't have to be round on, it's up to you how you do them. But they do need to show a little bit of thickness to them to make them look a bit more realistic. So it doesn't take very much. And you're beginning to get something that vaguely looks like a star bottom with some casters on. Now as far as design work goes, that's probably close enough. You might want to add a little bit of barring on some of them to make it look like these things are joined. But apart from that, you probably got enough there that you could be moving on with in terms of your design work.